All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is tow status. So basically what that is, it's going to be a way to help your customers get a little bit better customer service. You can allow them to see when the driver's on the way, when they arrived, and if you sign up for the survey information, you'll be able to send out a survey at the end of the call as well. So I'll show you how to set it up, and then I'll show you how it actually works on the phone here. So in your settings, and if you go in here today, you will not see this. This should be released later this week, hopefully. So we're going to log in here. All right, the first place is under our division settings here. So I'll pick on our green light here. When we release this, you're going to have a new SMS and a new survey tab here. So if you do sign up for text messaging through Mercury Send, you'll have an option to put your username and password in. And if you sign up with any of these survey companies, or if it is also still with Mercury Send, you're going to see that here. All right, so that's step one. Step two, we're going to go to the accounts here. So let's say I want to set this up for, we'll pick on Bob's Cadillac here. This might already be set up. And be patient with this. This is our staging environment, so some of this stuff runs a little bit slower than standard. But so down here at the bottom, once this is released, you're going to see new options down here. I'll skip over this tow lien stuff for a second. We'll start with this tow status. So the free option out of the gate is to be able to send an email to the customer. That doesn't cost you anything extra. If you click this, you put the customer's email address on the call, that will go out to the customer, and then I'll show you how this works here in a second. All right, so again, that doesn't cost any money. If you sign up with Mercury Send for text messaging, you can have it go out on the contact number. You can have it go out for the owner number, or both, depending on how you want to have it set up. And then if you want the survey to go out at the end, whether it's, again, through Mercury Send or one of the other companies like White Rail or OMG that we do survey integration with, you'll be able to click this and allow that survey to go out at the end of the call. All right. And again, I'm going to show you one of the surveys here through Mercury Send, just so you have an idea how that stuff is going to work. All right. The tow lien stuff I'll come back to here in a second. We have integration with our tow lien product as well now. All right. So if we go to a call here, we're just going to create a new one. Actually, let me turn that on real quick. So let me send it. I'm just going to turn all these on and hit save. All right, so let me restart that real quick. All right, so I have a customer, email, an address, put our car in, it's red, and we'll add our defaults. All right, so let's assume this is everything that we have on the call, or the information that we have on the call. So in this instance, for our tow status, I'm going to send out a text message and I'm going to send out an email. They both work the same way, but I'm going to show you how this stuff works. So we'll go ahead and save. I'll verify my address. Verify my destination. All right, here's my call. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it to me. I'll say assign. We'll bring up our phone here. All right, so let's bring this up on this screen here. There we go. So what's going to happen with the driver app? I'll sign in. Driver gets that call. They go ahead and confirm it. And then let's say they are en route. All right, so I should be getting a text or an email. There's my text. So let's go and click on it. So this is now your customer side of it. So in this case, service from Greenlight. Hi, how are we doing? Basically, what we're going to be covering, we're starting with our tow status right now. Our tow status is basically customer service for your customer. I'm demonstrating how the text messaging part works, which is an additional fee, but we also have an email service that does the same thing that doesn't cost anything. So we're actually right at the beginning, so this is actually a good time to jump in here. So our driver, in this case, we assigned the call to the driver. The driver went en route. Our customer now gets a text message. If you have to have Mercury Send for this to work, but they get a text message or email, depending on how you want to set this up. Service and Greenlight Towing is on the way. Open link to track the service. So we click OK. So now what your customer is going to do in the field, I'll wait for this to come up here. They're going to get a confirmation that they're going to verify their address. So they get, are you currently with the service vehicle? Selecting yes will route the service vehicle to your current location. Selecting no will route the service vehicle to the originally agreed upon location, which is what you would have had on the call. So if I hit yes, so it has to use my location, so I hit yes. All right, so that updated my driver app, and then this is going to put my driver and my location here. All right. So obviously I'm right on top of this location because I used our address here, but your green dot is going to be your customer, and then your circle or your car is going to be your driver. Now we'll also have the ability on this, and I'll show you this in a second, with your driver, you'll be able to put their picture here and update that with the app as well. So it also shows what truck that they're in. So in this case, I'm in a beige service vehicle that I'm coming to get the customer here. So again, if they use text messaging, this is built in. If you use email, that's free. You just have to let your customer know to check their email. So I could have used, let me go back to the call. Oops. Back to my call here. Maybe go back to my call. There it goes. I could have used either one of these, either the contact if I set that up, the owner, or the email address. All right, so we have a question. So if the customer does not know where they are, they should hit yes to GPS ping. In that case, yes. So things like they're somewhere on the highway, they don't really know their location, they could hit yes and it would update your call. Now it's not going to update the address that we put on the call, but it will update the lat long on the call. And so if your driver is going to route to that location through the app, it's going to route to that new lat long that the customer selected. Now we did get some feedback for this at the Florida Tow Show. So we are going to make a couple different little changes on this. So the first one we're going to change here, and they're working on it now, but what we're thinking is when the driver is assigned the call, the customer will get that text message at that time, basically saying your call is pending, driver might be on the way, or driver should be on the way soon, or some sort of verbiage like that. Confirm your location at that time. Currently, the way it works, they're verifying their location after the driver already went en route. So we kind of want to do that before that step. So we're going to change that, and then when the driver goes en route, they'll get some sort of other message that says, driver's on their way, something along those lines. So we're going to modify it a little bit based on some of the feedback that we got back at the Florida Tow Show. Now, let me go back here to settings real quick. Now again, because this hasn't been pushed out to production, you're not seeing my picture here for the driver. But what you'll have the ability to do under the driver, each person, so we'll click me here. You'll have me drinking water apparently. You'll have an option to upload your driver's photo here. So you'll choose whatever photo that you want. You'll basically need to get it down to where their face is in the circle. But then again, your customer knows kind of who's coming out to get them. And then at least we'll color vehicle based on, we'll click this here. Oops, it's fine, leave. Based on your vehicles and how you have them set up. So if you need to, you may need to check to make sure that you have the vehicle information set up here. Otherwise, your customer is not going to get that information if you're using this feature. Right. What happens if we have to reroute a driver that was en route to this customer? What happens on the customer's end? I mean, they're going to still have that original text message. The next text message that would go out after that, so once the driver actually arrives at that location, the customer will get another text message that says that the customer has arrived. Unfortunately, though, on this part of it here, your customer, because it has that driver's location, they're going to see that driver driving away from them. So you can set this up again per account depending on how you want it, or you may need to call the customer and let them know that that driver maybe had to go to another location, or whatever the case is, maybe had to reroute another driver to their location, because they are going to see that original driver or the driver that's assigned to that call. They're going to see them moving on the map. All right. Does this feature work from the dispatching app as well? Yeah, it would, because you're still going to set this up as long as you set it up based on whatever the account is. All right, so we'll pick Bob's Cadillac again. Here. It's based on how or which field you're using. So if you have the text messaging, you can either use the contact number or the owner number, or if you have the email, any of these. As long as that's filled out on the call, as soon as that driver goes en route, it's going to automatically send out to the customer. So yeah, it'd work no matter whichever way you do it. Now, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the driver app. All right, so let's say my driver's on the way. They finally, I'm not going to go through all this, but let's just say they arrived. As soon as that driver clicks arrive or timestamps it arrive, email or text, depending on how we have it set up. Here's my text. Service has arrived. So now the customer knows that you're there. But again, we're probably going to add that third option in there within the next couple, probably say the next couple of weeks or so. Just to make it a little bit clearer, I think we're also going to change some of that verbiage about verifying their address. Just to make it clear, you don't want your customers updating the wrong address. And that's a lot of the feedback we got at the show. We want to make it clear to the customer you're updating your location, or just prevent as much as possible them from just randomly clicking yes and then your driver going to the wrong location. So again, that's going to be kind of modified here in the next couple of weeks. But currently, it will go out on en route and arrived. All right. Now, if that driver finishes the call, let's say finish. If you have either just straight survey integration set up, or you have, we'll click 0. Here it is. Actually, we can click it now. Either straight survey set up through one of like the White Rail, OMG, or any of the other survey companies we have, that will go out regardless. So you don't need the status, the tow status, to have the survey. Survey can be completely separate. Mercury Send also offers a survey though. So if you do get the text messaging, you get the survey option. So we have this one set up through Mercury Send. So this basically says, Greenlight Towing, thanks you for your business. You can change whatever verbiage you want. Your feedback is important. Please click this link to rate us. So we'll go ahead and click on it. So it brings up this survey. Depending on how you set this up, so let's just say I gave them 3 stars, or needs improvement 4 or 5, whatever the customer decides to give you. Let's say it's 3. I hit submit. I have an option to put some sort of comments. Why was it 3 stars? Whatever I want to put in here, and hit submit. Now the cool things with these surveys, you can set this up again if it's, let's say 4 or 5 stars, you want that to go out to different survey sites. So your Facebooks, your, I'm drawing a blank here. Any of the survey sites that you get information on, it can go out and it kind of picks them randomly. So you're not forcing surveys to the same company all the time. You can have that set up. And then let's just say internally you want to handle anything from 1 to 3 stars. You want to handle yourself. You can have those route back to you, and then you can handle whatever the situation is with that driver, internally within the company. So you'll have an option to do that. The nice thing about that again is if you're doing surveys, positive surveys are getting pushed out to these survey sites, so then it's going to increase your rating online. So if anybody's trying to find information on the company. All right. So that's really basic tow status and how that works with the app. Again, text messaging if you want to do through Mercury Send, or if you want to do email, that's absolutely free. Just give you an idea what the text messaging costs. For $60 a month, it's about 3,000 text messages, and then for $110 you get 7,000. All right. If you're doing that, you got to kind of factor in how many messages are going out. Currently, 2 go out for us. It's going to be 3 though. The survey doesn't count, and incoming text messages don't count. So if you have this set up where your drivers are texting you through the Mercury Send portal, those don't count as messages. But any accounts you set it up on, figure 3 text messages per customer, more or less. So you got to kind of factor that in, how many calls you're doing, just to get an idea depending on which packages you may want to go with. Let's see, question. Will you have the template for wording of the text? Mercury Send told me that it has to be changed through you all. Their site is a backup for text. I'll find out for you, Frank. I was under the impression that it had to be set up on Mercury Send side, but I can get with our developer, Josh. He actually did all the development for it, so I know he would know exactly where to change all that wording on there. If you shoot your contact information or shoot me a private message on here, or just give me a call, I'll find out for you and then follow up. And again, Josh should know. He set all this stuff up, so all this stuff that was in our text messages here, he put in there. So I'll find out about that. If it's not in there right now, it might be a planned upgrade, but I will definitely find out for you. But again, I was under the impression that you were able to set that up through Mercury Send. So I'll talk to Josh on that stuff.